that you have as leaders, right? These workshops and trainings, they're very, very, very interactive. Like, we don't just want to stand here and talk to you or talk at you, okay? We also want you to be involved, because I learned so much from the youth. I believe in the youth so much, and I'm constantly learning from you all. So I hope you can also share insight with us, just as we plan to share insight with you. So the knowledge that you're learning from the workshops, the 4-day workshops, how do you plan to instill this knowledge into your peers?
I'm saying by organizing our students and talking to them about it.
Okay. All right. Can I get one other, perhaps a lady? Okay. Nice.
Okay, every, with us, GamePart students, every session that we do here, we have a platform for, because we're on break, we can't meet them, so every session, we put it on a platform for them to read and know what we came here for.
Okay.
So when we go back to school, we'll call them on board and then we'll discuss.
Excellent. Excellent. I like hearing that, right? Because once you acquire knowledge, it doesn't make sense to just keep it inside. And the thing I realize about the youth is you all actually like to learn from each other. Yeah, you do that. So I think it's really important. We came in just as the last session was ending, you know, but it's very important that we have these talks when it comes to women and men finding their place, especially in the corporate world. Because truth be told, it's not fair. It's not fair here, it's not fair in the US, it's probably just how it works all over the world. You know, but I want to say that as women, as we try to find our place in this world, as we empower ourselves and we motivate ourselves to move on and achieve greatness, we cannot leave our young men behind, okay? Because whatever happened in the past, the young men sitting next to you are not the ones to blame. It's a generational thing that has taken place from years and years and years. So we have to also empower our young men as we empower ourselves, all right? So now, Seth, I'll have Seth join me here. Come on. Seth is a little shy, so no, I'm kidding. He's not. When he gets really passionate, his eyes starts to twitch a little bit, so just bear with us. So today we're supposed to discuss career development and the future of work, which is an all-day training session that we have. But we literally have about an hour and a half, 2 hours to do this. We might even cut it short because of time, okay? So we thought it was really, really important to discuss preparing for career fairs and the importance of academic counseling. You know, 2 years ago, I asked a few young folks, you know, that I kind of have in our network. I asked them if they have any career counseling departments at their school. And I was told by a lot of them that no, they didn't. But then recently, I asked another set of students, and they said, yes, we do. So which one is it? Do you have these career services at your school, or do you not? You have it. Okay, who doesn't have a career service center at their school? You all have it. Yeah? You don't have it. Really? Okay, have you asked, you've like inquired about it? Wow, okay, all right. All right, so we just want to talk a little bit about the importance of utilizing your career counseling services, if you have one, and if you don't, we will also give you some tips on what you're supposed to do, all right? So Seth, you could come up and introduce yourself and, here. All right.
Thank you, Rita. Good
You're
afternoon
welcome.
once again. So let me ask Kwesi's question. How was lunch? Okay, I'm Seth Osaikudua, HR manager for KUSI Consulting. I've heard that most of you are saying that they are not having career counseling session at their various institutions. But you have counseling session, counseling department at your various. For counseling department, you have, I think most institutions have actually engulf or engage the career service department also under the counseling session. So the counseling session actually do our jobs, do provide dual services. They provide career services and also provide our own relationship other staffs. Okay, so as we go on, I just came to do a little introduction. As we go on, we get to know the importance and the relevance of career services. Thank you.
Wait, but you're here with me, like you're not going anywhere. Okay, all right, so let's begin the discussion. How many of you have had career fairs at your school? You've attended career fairs? Yeah, we all know what career fairs are, right? Let's be honest. If you don't, please be honest and we can have a discussion. Everyone knows what career fairs are. Okay, so how many of you have attended? You've attended? Okay. Can you share your experience when you attended a career fair? Can you share your experience with us? And maybe what you were expecting at the career fair?
Okay, for GIMPA, it happened in the business school, and what happened was that we had industry players, we had some enterprises coming along to give insights as to how to brand yourself, how to prepare yourself for the job market and all that. I think prior to when I went there, you realize that a lot of students have that notion as to the fact that they think that there are jobs out there waiting for them. And so when you go, when I actually went for these things, realize that they provided the relevant information pertaining what is actually out there, what we need to do to stand out, and how to actually get and create jobs on our own. Yeah, so I think that was my experience with career fairs in my school.
There was no one actually hiring, they just came to...
Okay, yes, and there were companies that were also hiring too as well. So what they did was that they provided forms, sheets that you fill and all that, so that you can come and actually intern with them, and or even get jobs with them after school.
So as an attendee, like what did you do when you went to the career fair?
Okay, so one such career fair that happened in our school was that we had this 3-day career and entrepreneurship fair, and the final day we're supposed to bring our CVs. And so what I did was that I sent my CV to KUSI Consulting Limited, and I was told that I'll get a call, so that's pertaining the internship opportunities that they had with them, and that was it. Yeah.
So for you, with the level of where you are in at university,
Yeah.
you're looking more for an internship,
Yes.
right? Yeah,
Yes.
I'm sure everybody's looking more for an internship, volunteer opportunity versus the national service or actual employment, right? Okay, all right. Needed to know that. Who else? Who else has attended a career fair? Okay. And then I want to hear from some of you ladies as well. Yeah.
Okay. I'm also in GIMPA, and it's the same career fair. But then, also it was through this career fair that I got the opportunity to do an internship with Enterprise Life last academic year. And through that, I've learned what employers are expecting on my CV and what I should put it out there, and to help me to be outstanding on the job market.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like hearing from this perspective, because you went to a career fair and actually landed an internship.
Yes,
What did you do? How did you get this internship?
Okay, so on the third day, as he said, we were asked to bring our CVs, and I sent. So just a day of my last paper, they called me that the Monday I should come for interview.
Wow.
And we went and we did some aptitude test, and I qualified, and
Nice.
I was selected to be in their HR department because I'm a HR student.
How did you feel?
Okay.
How did you feel? That's an accomplishment. It's not easy getting an internship or even getting a job, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely a major accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. All right, so I want to hear from maybe a couple of ladies, but not from GIMPA. From a different universities.
Okay, I've been to a career fair before. It was
Okay.
organized by Ashasi University at KNUST, and they needed lecturers. They wanted to recruit. So they came in with their requirements. If you qualify, you send them a mail. They taught us how we are supposed to develop our CV to end up at Ashasi, and it was very interesting.
Nice. You found it beneficial, right?
Yes,
Attending.
very.
Okay. All right, good. Can we have one more lady? Anyone else has attended a, okay, sure. She's closer, so you're from GIMPA. Should I give her the mic? All right.
I went for a career fair for law students, and then usually most law students dislike attending career fairs because they feel that their career is already, like they already know where they're going to end up. Right after law school, you get to do your professional course, and then you get a law firm to do your pupillage, and usually they retain you there, so they don't really find it necessary. But then, so ours was quite different. We had lawyers from several firms there, and then it was more of a career fair and then a networking opportunity. So they told us what they expected from most law students. They know that, yes, everyone reads and everyone knows their cases, and so we all come and then we come and rattle things. But there's some other things they look out for, like appearance, your attitude, and then the little things that we all know, the general ones that we think they expect. So they told us some of the little things they look out for. And then we had the opportunity to speak to them, and then most of them want interns, a lot of interns, because they need people to do research. So you go to whoever you feel you want to work with, and then you talk to them. So this time around, they came down, they sat amongst us, we had conversations with them, and then we spoke to them, and then we got to get their contacts and then follow up from there.
Very nice. I actually like your perspective as well, because, you know, when we talk about careers, especially when you're at the university level, you tend to think about the CV, right? And my CV and how my CV should look and this and that. There was a recent article that I read that in the future, CVs are probably not going to exist, you know, because we are in a digital age now where employers are actually looking more for the soft skills than the hard skills. So like you said, it's about the communication aspect, right? They want to talk to you. They want to see your appearance. Are you going to fit into the organizational culture? You know, so we will touch up on a few things that maybe you should have on your CV and perhaps how it should look, but we didn't want to make this workshop about that, yeah? So, Seth, I'll have you just do a rundown of, yeah, you should do that. So career fair. So you want to maybe share some of what you should have at career fair?
Thank you. Okay, so thank you very much for being interactive. So how to prepare for a career fair is the first point on our presentation. So I'll ask just one person, how do you think you should prepare, or as a student leader, how do you think we should prepare for a career fair? How do you prepare for a career fair?
Thank you. I think first and foremost, you have to know what exactly you want to gain from that career fair. If probably you want to use the opportunity to network, to get to know people in that field. If you want to go into a specialty, you know that you go with that target, that going there, you want to find out the opportunities that your career poses for you. You have to prepare, sometimes have your CV on the standby. You should be able to ask questions that are directed towards the area you want to go for. And I think you should be confident enough to approach.
Thank you. Okay, so as student leaders, preparing for career fair, one thing that I would advise all of us to have is to have a CV book. Have what we call a CV book. All of you, don't, because you are leaders in leadership by example. Before you prepare for the career fair, please, who knows what a CV book is? No? Who will help?
A CV book.
You have to have a CV book as student leaders. Yesterday, I had a debate with some, I've forgotten you. Yeah, I remember you. I had a debate with them, and I said, why is it that all of us, we are concentrating all our effort, all our resources, all our projects on physical projects, building libraries, building school. What are some of the projects? What project are you doing? Dustbin, you are doing that.
Painting schools.
We are doing sirens, we are doing this. But why don't we focus some of the resources, some of our projects on, let's say, capacity building, alumni employment services, what again? Alumni employment services, CV book. Let's say CV book is also, let me say, a very good project that we can also embark on. So a CV book is simply a compilation. Let's say agribusiness level 400. which year will you be completing? 2019. So a CV book comprises of, let's say, agribusiness, 2019 level, 2019 level 400. Those of us who will be completing 2019. All our CVs will be compiled in that book. So when we come to, or when an organization comes to a career fair, what you do is you put it on a pen drive and submit it to the organization. This is a CV book belonging to a business administration, a agribusiness 2019. So that when we are looking for KUSI Consulting, in case we are looking for, let's say, it will be an agric associate, very soon we'll be employing an agric associate for an international NGO. What you do is we go to KNUST, agribusiness, level 400. Then we go through the CV book and go through it and look at the competence and the qualification that we are looking for. So as student leaders, I'm not talking basics because I know that when you are going for a career fair, you are supposed to carry your CV on a pen drive. But now, so far as leadership by example, as we all know, we have to set the example of getting a CV book on a pen drive. A CV book on a pen drive for the organization that we are actually going to communicate with. Please, is anybody having any question about the CV book?
Who keeps their CVs on a pen drive anyway? Or does everybody just have a hard copy? You don't keep it on a pen drive? Okay. Very futuristic, huh?
Okay. Okay, so you need to have a CV book. Also, yesterday through our, obviously I love to make everything practical. Yesterday through our discussion that I have with some of the students, I was like, when we are going for the career fair, also, how many of us are having, let's say, a platform where organizations can actually publish job on? How many institutions have done that? That organization can actually publish their job on. You don't have a job portal? Do you have? Hello? Do you have a job portal where we can publish job so that once you leave the school or once you leave the institution, we can still publish the job on so that you will get first-hand information on? We don't have. So please, I've been a student politician before, so as we go, we should forget about, it's good. The physical infrastructures are good. But we should also build an infrastructure which is actually going to provide career opportunities for our alumni. I remember it got to a time we were looking for, I'll not mention the SLC president's name, but I think after the scenario, you get to understand the person that I'm referring to. We were looking for a journalist for, please, I didn't mention the institution's name. we were looking for a journalist for an institution, for an international magazine. So I called the SLC president and I was like, oh, hello, please, can you help me out, publish this job on your job portal? And he was like, oh, unless you call the alumni office, unless you call this. I called the alumni office, I didn't get it. You get the point? But if there have been a job portal that we can actually publish our role there, the alumni will get access to it. I remember the last time too, I'll also not mention the SLC president's name, but after the scenario, you get to know who I'm talking to. So, I didn't mention anybody's name. Okay, so I remember the last time we were looking for a software developer. I'm intentionally mentioning it so that you go and blame them, okay? We were looking for a software developer. I've been looking for these software developers. I've not been getting the person. I've not been getting it. So I said, okay, then let me call this institution and inform them about the job portal, inform them about the job. So I called and I said, oh, please, where can I publish this job? Do you have any portal that I can publish? Oh, sir, what you can do is you just share it to me via email so that I'll distribute it to my, how many people are you going to will you be able to actually send this information to? We have central email system, but when you post it on the job portal of, let's say, GIMPA, I can go there and go and look for the job, apply for the job. So as student leaders, as we prepare for the career fair, once you are going, make sure that you provide information. We are not talking about our personal interests. We are talking about the general well-being of our students, because we are the mouthpiece of the student. So as we are going for the career fair, one thing that you have to prepare is you have to provide a vivid information about your website, how you can publish job on your website. Okay, so let's come to the personal staffs. We've spoken for the students, so we are talking for ourselves. So you also, the preparation that you have to make is asking the right questions. Asking the right question. The truth of the matter is there's no job. Am I lying? There are jobs. Thank you. Sorry, I forgot myself. HR manager saying there are no jobs. The truth of the matter is there are jobs. Okay? There are jobs. By depending on how you package yourself during the career fair, it's very, very important. How you talk, how you approach your soft skills during the career fair is also very important. And sometimes too, the question that you ask can also have you the job that you are looking for. Let's say you are a marketing person, or you are a business administration person, you are a communication person. Sometimes do your research about the company before you even go in for the career fair. So during the career fair, this is how you can do it. You can actually create your own employment during the career fair. I remember I attended the career fair when I completed University for Development Studies. I did integrated development studies. So I went for a career fair and I realized that I was not having a job because I've been roaming, I've not been getting the job some. And one interesting thing about job search is when the day that they will call you for the interview, you not even have money to ask. You don't even have money for transport to attend the interview. So I attended the career fair. I don't want to mention the name of the company because we are on live TV. I don't want to do advert for them. So I realized that they were not having sales guys who have been working around to bring them businesses because they think their company is broad enough. They are big. They are making good sum of money. So they don't think they need the service of a sales guy and other stuff. And marketing is my passion. So I went and I said, will you be happy if you get someone who will be going around buildings and other stuff so that the person will get you, let's say, contact and bring you businesses and other stuff? Will you be happy? And they say, yes, you'll be happy. So obviously, the question that I asked actually earned me my first job. By then, I got a job at a microfinance as an operation officer, so I didn't choose that working job. Okay, so sometimes, yes, I'm just kidding. So sometimes, try to research about the company. Okay, try to research about the company and look at the needs, look at the challenges that the company is actually facing. Look at the disadvantages that the company is actually facing. Okay, so don't just provide a CV, provide a problem-solving solution to the company. So that they will see that, this guy is the right person who can do the job. He's the right person because he has even identified a challenge in our company and he has provided solutions to it. So as you are going, psych your mind to provide solutions. Don't go and ask for a job directly. Once you go and say, please, can I get a job? It's good. It's good to ask for the job. But let the person see some importance in you. Let the person see that, yes, you can solve a challenge. You can solve a situation in their company. You get the point that I'm making. So just have in mind, do your researches before you go. Don't just go to a career fair that, this is my CV. Like, what do you do? What are the services that you provide? But you sometimes also try your best to provide solutions to the company's challenges. Okay, so we've spoken about the right question. So, Rita, I don't know.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Seth. I think he elaborated on some very key things that I probably would have missed out on. It's really important that you start thinking ahead when it comes to your career. And I think that's why he mentioned having your CV on a pen drive, because a lot of people have this idea when they go to career fairs, they have a paper like a hard copy of their CV. A lot of companies now are going digital. So if everyone is going in with a CV, a hard copy of their CV and you show up and you say, hey, here's my CV is on a pen drive, already you're like, wow, this person, you stand out amongst the bunch, right? It puts you ahead. You're thinking ahead. You're thinking about the future. Okay, so it's very, very important. Another thing that he mentioned, and I want to elaborate on it, is I mentioned that it's important that once you acquire this knowledge, you go and you share it with your peers, right? As student leaders, I'm sure you also do have some level of influence when it comes to faculty, yeah, teachers, maybe some of the head, people in the departments. So Ashesi is one institution, I'm sure we all know Ashesi, right? They're doing a lot of things differently than what some of the previous or older universities have done. And one of the things we do is when we get jobs, we actually publish it on Ashesi's portal, which is online. And the alumni have access to this portal. So you can just log in, browse through the jobs that are published on that platform. If your universities don't offer this option, then know that within your role as leaders, you can go to them, yeah? You can't just go and tell them about it. Go with some concrete facts and go and tell them that, hey, check this out. Maybe a lot of them may not know, right? But if they hear from you being student leaders, then yes, they might want to explore that option because it's different and is effective, right? So that's another thing that Seth mentioned that I actually thought is brilliant as well. You have to be able to ask questions. You have to be able to engage with the employer. Again, don't just show up and it's not about me, 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 me. Employers are very selfish. They also want to know, what can you do for me? What value can you bring within my organization? And I think that's what he was trying to address, right? So if you show up and the way you know what you can do for an employer is spark a conversation. Don't just show up and do what everybody else is doing. Here's my CV. Are you hiring? I want to apply for this job. Have a conversation. Through that conversation, you'll realize what some of their needs are, and then you may be able to address some of those challenges, right? This makes you an asset to the organization. You're going to be able to add value and bring something different within that organization. You're not just doing what everybody else is doing. I've come and I want a job. There are jobs. I definitely agree that there are jobs out there. You hear all the time and there are no jobs and there are jobs out there. Are you the right person? It's a very competitive market. I'm sure we all know that, right? So you have to find the most innovative, unique ways that you can stand out and market yourself. That's what you're doing. You are marketing yourself. I remember one time I received this CV. You ever see something and it just gives you chills? Yeah, I received negative CVs all the time, and then I received very good CVs. I got one CV where it was actually in a PowerPoint presentation. I thought, oh, this is a bit much. This must have taken a lot of time. I'm sure the young man was trying to stand out, but in the end, come on, right? But then I got this one CV that was just, he sent a link. And I think that's what you mean by CV book. It kind of, I didn't just open and click an attachment to view this young man. It was a link to his profile. On the left side, this is what he can offer. On the right side, his contact information, his LinkedIn name. I mean, I was just blown away. So you have to find these innovative ways, innovative approaches when it comes to applying for positions, okay? So yes, how to present yourself. Obviously, when we talk about your physical appearance, you want to make sure you're properly groomed, gentlemen. I mean, use cologne, but don't use too much cologne. Make sure your hair is nicely shaved, nice shirt, nice pants. Just look really presentable. You don't always have to wear a suit to be presentable. In our terrain, you can even show up in some really nice African wear that can make you stand out, all right? And the ladies as well. You can do the same thing. Your hair is neatly groomed. Your makeup isn't too much. You're not wearing too much perfume, but just look presentable, all right? And then the right questions to ask. You have to ask the right questions. You have to be able to engage with the potential employer, okay? Networking. When you go to these events, you might not even see an organization that you want to work with, right? That's fine. It's fine. Still network with them anyway, because through that person, I don't even like using network. I don't even think they use networking anymore. They say relationship building now. You've all heard relationship building, right? Because networking is it's so immediate, and it makes you seem like an opportunist. You know, so you go to an event, you go around, you walk around, you get everybody's card. What a waste of time. It really is a waste of time. You do not need everybody's card. When you walk into a room, you have to strategically pinpoint the few people that you need to meet, that you can establish a relationship with, that can get you to the next level, okay? Don't waste your time talking to everybody in the room, all right? And people don't really the business card thing is nice, but if someone really likes you and they want to bring you in their organization, they might even just give you their personal number. You might get access to that decision maker. The person actually makes the decisions within the organization. And Seth mentioned research. You know, don't come here and tell me I want a job within your organization, and then I ask you, well, what do you know about us? What do we do? Do you know the services we provide? And then, no. So why are we even having this conversation? You know, so you have to do your research. You really, really, really have to do your research. Before we move on to the next slide, does anyone have any questions? Do you have any questions?
Okay. About how to present yourself at an interview. I quite remember some few weeks ago, I went for an interview, and it was a Friday, and I was in my African prints, very nice one. But the lady told me this is not appropriate for an interview.
Okay.
Whether it's a Friday or not, you have to look official in suit, and it's like,
Okay.
I just don't get. So I get confused with that. So I think.
Okay. Are you finished? Okay, so he wants to add to what you just said.
I've said it here before. I was offering internship at Temoyo Refinery, and I was in African print trousers just like this.
Okay. Which I
The
think
manager,
are fabulous,
yes,
by
the
the
manager
way.
saw me and said, this is not appropriate
Okay.
because you can wear that on Fridays.
Okay.
Again, with the right questions, I think it comes in because in the department where I was offering my internship, public affairs department, when you visit any social media websites and try to find out about Temoyo Refinery, you find that they have little information. Their
Try
Instagram
to find
handle.
out about the organization.
Organization, yeah.
Okay.
Their Instagram handle has about some few posts, which was put there last month when I went there. I asked them, so do you have a social media website? They said, oh, we have this, we have that. So I said, there's nothing there. So I went to the manager and told him that there's nothing on your social media. He said, really? I said, yes. Then he asked me to go and call one lady. She came. Why is there nothing? He said, we don't have anything. We don't produce content. And I'm like, no. People are putting news out there that Tor has shut down. So if you're active on your social media, it will tell them something that's no, it's not true. But you are only replying to what they are saying, that Tor has shut down. Then you tell, oh no, Tor hasn't shut down. But you are not active on social media. So few weeks to the end of my internship, he asked me, do you want to, continue with it? I was like, no, I want to step out.
Okay.
So I'll come back later. Then he offered another thing. Do you want to do your service here? I'm like, no, I'll think about it later.
Very nice.
But he still calls me for,
Exactly. You know, thank you so much. So I'll just address these two questions. Because of time, we have to kind of breeze through it. As you get ready to pursue your careers, okay, you have to hold yourself to a certain esteem, all right? It's not every organization that provides you a job or internship opportunity that you want to take. Okay, so with an organization like that, I'm addressing the second scenario. I love that it's almost it would just seem a bit confusing, right? You weren't even getting the right answers, and here you are, you're showing interest, right? You want to know something. And I like the decision that you made, because it just didn't seem like you could even get an enriching experience. You can make these decisions as you go into your career. You know, if something feels funny, if you don't feel like, oh, this is the right organization for me to go and work, then it probably isn't. And it's up to you to decide whether, and you see, because you said no, there's a level of respect that they have for you, and that's why he keeps trying to come back. You know your self-worth, okay? So you have to also know your self-worth. And I'll say the same thing regarding African wear. I think it's just recently that, especially in corporate Africa, that they're becoming okay with the fact of wearing African wear. And I think you only really do it on Fridays, right? In some institutions, right? Even women, when you want to just have natural hair and go to the workplace, I'm sure you still have issues in that area. You know, so you have to make that decision. Is this a company I want to work for where we can't wear, this is our national attire, African wear. If I can't wear it to work and express myself, it's not because you wear African wear, maybe, you know, of course you have to make sure it's ironed, just like how you would wear a regular suit. You know, so if there's an organization that's saying you can't wear your nice African print skirt, I wouldn't want to work for an organization like that. So these are all decisions that you have to make, you know, as a job seeker. What matters to you? What is important to you, right? Because this is going to shape your career for the long term. You can say no to things that don't serve or benefit your interest as well, right? Just like how the employer can also say no and say, hey, we won't give you the internship. You can also make these decisions as well, okay? So let's go on to the next slide. Just breeze through it. All right, so I think we've actually discussed the importance of academic counseling. So access and utilizing career counseling centers, using them to your advantage, right? So the benefit, first of all, you have to be able to identify where these career counseling centers are within your school. I'm sure they may be an actual department to yourself. You know, go to them for advice, right? Especially, let's say if they're right? Somebody who can guide you through your career, help you put together a CV, and also add to your network, all right? So yes, benefit on internships, volunteers, and job opportunities. Essentially, that's what having a career center is supposed to help you do. In university, I utilized our career center. You know, I had a counselor. My roommate, my college roommate is actually in the back. We had the same college counselor, right? For all 4 years, we had a career center. Is where we went to learn how to write CVs, found out when jobs were hiring. So we did have these options. But what I'm saying is before you jump to conclusions and think you may not have one, just ask around, okay? And if there isn't one, establish one, do your research, and go and pitch that idea. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, so how to translate your campus experience to actual employment all the time. I don't have experience. How am I going to get the job? You know, I haven't done anything. I refuse to believe you've not done anything in all of your 2, 3, 4 years at university. Whether you've been helping your friends plan parties, it all translates into something. It's just about how you package it and put it on your CV. Do you understand? Yeah? So whether you've assisted a professor, right, during like class, that's something. You've gained some kind of administrative role, but you have to package it on your CV. I don't want to hear, I don't have experience and I haven't learned. You may not have 5 years experience, but you have something, at least 6 months, at least 1 month. You know, you have to make your CV look good. It has to be short, first of all. Please do not send 2, 3, 4, 5 page CVs, especially because you're still considered entry-level employees, interns, yeah? So make sure your CV is 1 page. Make sure it's very clear and concise. There's 1 email. Now that email, you don't want it to say sexybabes@yahoo.com. You know, like your first name _ your last name is fine. maybe the first letter of your first name, your last name at Yahoo. You know, it has to identify with your name, okay? It shouldn't be something so extraordinary where the employer's like, this person is not serious sending me this CV with this email address. So just have your contact at the top, 1 or 2 phone numbers. I know most of us have about 2 or 3 phones or chips. 1, 2. You have a LinkedIn. How many of you have LinkedIn? How many of you have LinkedIn? Wow. Okay. And as a student, we weren't. You have to create, we live in a digital age, right? Where even when you apply for something, the employers want to know more about you. Not just your CV, but I want to know how you interact. What kind of photos, what kind of content are you sharing online? I strongly, strongly urge you that before the end of this week, can you all promise me that you will look up LinkedIn and create a LinkedIn account? Can you all do that? LinkedIn is one of the most Facebook, you don't have to go on Instagram, you don't need to go on Twitter. Just promise me that for the sake of your professional link relationships, it's how we are getting clients, it's how we are actually identifying the right employees for our clients. You know, so you have to be able to go on LinkedIn. Use it. You're still whether, let's say, in HR, you want to follow Amma, who's like the head of HR at MTN, send her a nice little message. Hey, I just wanted to follow you. You know, I'm a university student. And social media now can also be used effectively for relationship building. All right, so forget Instagram, forget LinkedIn, and establish professional profiles. All right. So I think that's, are there any more slides? Yeah, we had short slides. I'm not sure if, are there any questions? I think we're done here, but maybe we could take a few questions. Okay, let's start from this side, and then we'll work our way around. Yeah? Sure, okay.
Microphone. Back to what my other brother was saying. When it comes to CV book, as you were saying, it's a contribution. It shouldn't always be on a pen drive. You can put it in your Gmail account.
Exactly.
You don't need a laptop before you can send someone your CV. You just go to your phone, you go to your Gmail, you send an email, and the person receives. Secondly, back to the questions we ask when you go for career fairs. I went to Ashasi for a career fair. They came to our school. Then I asked the lady if they have a counseling sector because I'm into disability and rehabilitation. Then I asked her, do you have a disability desk in your school? Then he said, oh, no. But because of the question I asked, she sent me a link, an email. Then she arranged, let me say, she gave me a connection to the one who was in charge of counseling. I contacted the lady and she said, oh, I should come around and do my internship there. Maybe someone, one way or the other, has a disability, but for them, they can't identify because they are not experts. So depending on the questions you ask during career fairs can earn you a job. Thirdly, when it comes to jobs, he said there are no jobs, and I said there are jobs.
Sorry, there are jobs.
If today someone should go back to today's graphic, there are jobs advertised in the graphic. Maybe you don't qualify because you pick up the newspaper and you realize that they want PhD, they want MSc, they want MPhil. So it doesn't mean there are no jobs. You don't qualify for the job. So you can be reading around newspapers, social medias. People are all sending messages concerning jobs. Maybe it's not within your field or you don't qualify. So there are jobs.
Thank you.
Keep reading around, you may find one. And thirdly,
Fourthly.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Rita, just a quick rebuttal too. Okay, so with regards to the career and counseling session, I'll be very grateful since you said you are into disability, you are reading disability and counseling and other stuff in it. So I think the vocabularies that are being used for our career centers or counseling centers must be actually in school. When you tell your friend that I'm going to no psychological, you have a broken heart here. Yes, that is how it is perceived. So I think we have to change the vocabularies so that it will make it more nice for someone to actually. Okay.
Okay. My question is,
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Who has the mic? Okay. Before you go on, I think I wanted to add to that as well. What were your questions? What was your first question? I want to address the question you asked.
I didn't ask the question, I did a question.
It was the contribution. Okay. I'm sure it will come to me, but go on to your next question.
So my question is, what's the difference between career and job? Because it looks like we are talking about job first and career first. I want you to draw the clear distinction.
I just need to do anything. Obviously, right? For your livelihood. A career, how I build my career. There's a strategy behind it. You don't just accept anything that comes your way. You're thinking about it, you're doing research and I think career more has to align with your passion. Yeah, what it is that you're passionate about doing. Then you want your career progression and the jobs that you take on to align with that passion, right? And then you just grow within it. So, okay, I want to start off as maybe interning in the accounting department, right? So then you progress, and then eventually, you strategically, when your senior role, you might become like a chief financial officer. But somewhere along those lines, I had so many jobs before I even got to the point of HR, so you have to be strategic. If you want a job, yeah, it's great. Yeah, I have to survive. We all have to survive. But if you can pause and say, you know what, I really can't, I don't want to just take anything that's thrown at me. Let me stop and be strategic about my career progression, then yeah, so there's a big difference. Yeah? Okay. Third question. Who's it? Mo? Okay. No, let her do it.
But even with me, with all of my jobs from the time that I was 14 years old, while they were jobs, I always knew what I wanted to do. I'm a social worker. So all of my little jobs were still geared towards my career. So I worked at camps, and that was my job for every summer. If I was in school, KUSI and I went to college together, undergrad, for the 4 years. But when I was in undergrad, I did things at the crisis hotline. I did those type of little events. I was on the president of African Women Alliance. So I did little jobs that actually was geared towards my career. So that way, when KUSI also mentioned that you can have experience even if you don't actually have a paying job. Everything that I did, all of my extracurricular activities, was so when I graduated from college, I actually continued to get my master's straight from undergrad, I was able to say that here is everything that I can contribute, because all of my smaller jobs actually built to my future career, which is social work. That's all I wanted to add.
How many questions more?
Okay, so my question has to do with this job experience thing. Sometimes you see an advertisement and they'll say probably they need you should have about 2 years working experience. But some of us probably through school, you do internships, after that you do your national service. Those are the things that you put on your CV because those are the organizations you've worked with. When you go for the interview and you tell, they see that on your CV, you tell them about what you've done. They'll be like, now we need expertise, you should have something else apart from the internships and the national service. But then if nobody is employing you to get that experience, how are you supposed to get that experience and put it on your CV in the first place? My second question is, when you attend an interview, sometimes when you are done, they ask you, okay, how much do you expect us to pay you? Most of them are teachers and lecturers have always told us that when you are being asked that question, at least you should say something. Initially, some of us, if you ask, you say, oh, anything. So sometimes I remember the last time I went for an interview, they asked, I was like, okay, this amount is okay. They were like, okay, we'll get back to you. So later they call you and they'll be like, okay, we can't pay you this amount, but they are going to pay you this. What are you supposed to do? Probably the amount you quoted was higher than what they are going to give you. You think probably it's not okay. You understand? What are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to reject it there and then? Or you talk to the baby, you say you're going to think about what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to go back to them or reply through the mail, the phone call? What are you supposed to do?
Okay, Rita, please let me share an experience with regards to his first question. I remember my first job, a friend of mine got the job, and he was like, oh, I'm going for an interview. And I said, oh, let me join you. So we went for the interview, and I also wrote my name, and I gave my CV to them. And they were like, they are looking for someone with 3 years marketing experience. So I am not having the 3 years marketing experience. So when I went, I was like, when I was in school, I was also a bit spiritual. I was the evangelism secretary of National Union of Baptist Students. So that is what you mean by how to translate your campus experience to the job market. So I was like, oh, as an evangelism student, I am having 4 years experience as an evangelism secretary. And when I was the evangelism secretary, I was able to increase the church population to this. So what are you talking about? Evangelism is also marketing. So as SRC president, as SRC secretary, you have to translate whatever you do on campus, because you spend 2 years as SRC secretary you are building your negotiation skills. You meet with the dean of students, you meet with the vice chancellor, and you are telling me that all those things that you have been doing is not work. Translate it, make it, you have been doing an SRC president, in charge of responsibility, responsible for student welfare, responsible for this, SRC treasurer, responsible for accounts, responsible for finance, responsible for this. The problem is, we have been doing a lot as a student, but we fail to translate it on our CV. Just pointify it, make it a point. Oh, I did this. As NUC secretary, I did this. And convince it's about negotiation skills, how you communicate to the employer. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to also add to that, and I'll answer the second question. So employers have their expectations, right? And employees also have their expectations. Sometimes the things that, not everything on the job description is a deal breaker. Okay, so someone might say, you know what, I'm looking for someone who has, an employer might, we go through this all the time. They'll send us a job description and they might say, we want someone with a first degree, right? And that could do A, B, C, D. And then we go back and say, hey, but what if they have an HND, but they can do A, B, C, D? So sometimes you have to understand that not everything on that job description. So don't be turned off right away. I'm not saying if you're an entry-level applicant, go and apply for a senior position. No, because that's just too advanced. But there are certain things that are not deal breakers, especially when it comes to the years. Sometimes they could bend a bit. Sometimes they even bend on your level of education. You know, so what I'll say is just believe in yourself enough. And like Seth mentioned, just go in there, negotiate, give it all you have. You know, you have to convince the employer why they need you on their team. And this is where value comes in. What value can you bring to that organization, especially when you don't meet all of the requirements on the job? If an employer really wants to hire you, they will hire you. It does not matter what, right? Sometimes it's really based on the interpersonal skills as well. The second thing, yeah, I wish you watched our episode yesterday because we addressed 3 questions. That every time we ask these 3 questions at an interview, the candidates either get really nervous, they laugh, or they don't answer. Salary was definitely one. What is your salary expectation? Don't just go and throw out a number. What are the people or the other employees who work within that sector and who are also on that level? What are they earning? You have to be able to defend your salary requirements. Don't just go and say, oh, you know, I think I'm worth. I interviewed a recent graduate some months back. She was looking for a secretary position. I asked her what salary. I think she said something like 4,000 or 5,000 Ghana cedis.
Yes.
And I just lost interest because I said, you clearly didn't do your research. You're just here because you think you could come and, you don't want to do that, okay? There's a science to asking for your salary. You have to do your research, all right? So do that, and then when you go in, you can defend it, okay? So yeah, we're all set, I know.
Thank you so much. Oh, let's put our hands together for Rita and then Seth. They've done amazing. Okay. All right. Shall we be on our feet and stretch a bit? We are moving on to the last part that is important to all of us. The issues of ethics in student leadership, and then we'll move on to the NUCS thing. And with this one, I would like us to go off social media with this session. Hello? With this session, hello, please listen to me. I want us to build something. We want to go off social media with this session. And the reason being that in as much as we are interested in bringing peace and ensuring that we all have unity on our student front, we need to tackle it strategically. And so